Well, praise the Lord and good night to all our wonderful listening audience. You are here at the Bishop's Corner International. We are excited that you chose to join us tonight. This is a global initiative dedicated to empowering, nurturing growth, and fostering communities among believers worldwide. Again, we say welcome. Thank you for taking the time to just be with us. We are excited to have you. Tonight, we are getting ready for a very special presentation. And we are going to talk about a topic that really involves every one of us. And we are talking about finance. We are saying tonight that money matters. We want to look at budgeting, investing. But before we do that, let me introduce our illustrious panel. First of all, we have none other than our Apostle Lucian Rojas. Sir, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
And next we have none other than our Leroy Yancer. We are so glad that you chose to be with us.
Thank you for having me.
We also have Guillermo Burmaxt. Thank you, sir, for taking the time. We can't wait to hear all of that you have to share with us. And last but definitely not least, I call him the financial guru, Pastor Samuel Brown. Welcome, sir, to our platform. We are here to talk about money. We are here to talk about investment. We are here to hear all that you've got to tell us about finances. But just before we begin, I'm going to ask each member of the panel to just quickly, in less than a minute, just talk about themselves and the finances, the area of expertise that they have in finances. I'll start with Apostle Rojas.
Well, good night to one and all. And this is Apostle Rojas from Kingdom Finance. I do have a TikTok channel. That's where the young people are at. And a very popular app. I do Kingdom Finance. So you go to Kingdom Finance and follow me. I do trades and stuff like that. And then I have Financial Empowerment with Brother Rowe. That's my YouTube channel, which is kind of dormant. I'm going to get it reignited. But finance is my passion. And by the way, let me just say quickly that this month, the month of April, is known as Financial Literacy Month. I think this started in 2004, some 20 years ago, with the US Senate. And it is said Americans say that high school left them unprepared for handling money. In fact, 88% of all Americans say high school did not leave them fully prepared for handling money in a real world. And there are 4 pillars, and I'm going to say this and that's it, 4 pillars in terms of financial literacy. Number 1 is debt. There are good debts and bad debt. Number 2, budgeting. We ought not to spend more than we earn. Number 3, what's the other one? The other one is saving. You know, we save to invest. There's something called the 50-30-20. 50% your needs. That's what you need. You have to pay light bill. 30% of what you want. You spend 30% of what you want, and 20% on saving. You have to save to invest, and then finally you invest. you must have some capital to make an investment. So thank you, and you'll hear more from me.
Thank you so much, Apostle. Next, we have Leroy Yancer. Tell us about yourself.
Well, I have a YouTube channel called 40 and Broke. My name's Leroy Yancer, and my expertise is basically day-to-day budgeting, finances, and getting your finances under control because nobody wants to live paycheck to paycheck. Nobody wants to swim in debt. So we all want to live the life of our dreams, and that's what I try to teach everybody. I try to teach everybody how you can get your finances under control so you can live the life of your dreams. It's not rocket science, it's not hard. It's simple concepts, and I just try to teach it to people.
Beautiful. Thank you, sir. We have Mr. Guillermo Bermix.
Yes, I'm very glad to be here. Guillermo Bermudez is my name, and I have a YouTube channel called Finance ABCs apostrophe S. It's a channel dedicated to financial education, and I talk a lot about the concept of investing, how to invest money for retirement. And my passion is to educate people about the virtues of investing in the stock market.
Beautiful, sir. Wow, I need that class. And next we have Pastor Samuel Brown. Talk to us about your financial expertise, sir.
Amen. Good night again, and thank you for having me. Of course, I strongly believe that everyone has an economy, and I believe that the hardest thing for us is to start our journey and to leave a legacy. And we understand that there's a culture that has been created by some and have adopted by many other people, that the money that they have access to on a daily basis, and weekly, monthly, yearly, and decadely, if you may say, that is for spending on clothes, food, and shelter, and recreational and personal cosmetic. So we live short-term satisfaction, but we have long-term frustration. So my goal, and it's that financial advice, is just to educate people on what I'm doing. Right? It's not a suggestion for them to start a portfolio or anything like that. But I believe if I tell them how I'm doing and how I started and where I am, then that will kind of educate them that it's possible.
Beautiful. I love that. It's possible. And that's what we are looking for. As we get started, we have a special announcement to be done by our creator, which is Dr. Philip Reed. Dr. Reed, are you ready with your special announcement, sir?
Yes, I am. Very excited about tonight's subject. I think it's very relevant. Thank you guys for joining me in this endeavor. I really greatly appreciate it. Just want to show you where and how you can get in touch with the Bishop's Corner International. We have pulled away from the PNN network, and we have formed our own network. It's called BCI-TV. Okay, that's BCI-TV. We're looking to partner with churches and places of worship in order to build this network that you can place your announcements, you can get counsel, you can learn about finances. We really want to be a resource to our communities. And so you can go to bci-tv.com to get more information. In this area, you can register your church if you'd like to get one of our programs recorded in your location, or you can join us on the Zoom line just by pressing join us in these letters right here. Also, in the future, we're looking to start a school of evangelism, a school of pastoring, and a school of missions. The School of Evangelism is a basic course that we take at Liberty Hall Bible Institute, which is held by Liberty Hall Cathedral of Praise. Bishop Scott oversees it. But we'll be going through the course to give you an idea of it so that you can take the course itself and learn a whole lot more about that. If you want to get that activated in your church. Also, the School of Pastoring is all about mentorship. And we've talked about that and the importance of that on this program. So we'll be networking with a group of pastors to help you get through the rough spots in any part of your ministry. School of Missions is all about learning how to do missions, right? And these are all the basic fundamental pillars of the Christian body. So stay tuned for that. There's more of that coming. If you'd like to give a donation to the Bishop's Corner International, there is a page for that as well. So we welcome you to check out the website. Again, that is bci-tv.com. That's bci-tv.com. Coming soon is our app. The BCI TV app. Okay. You'll be able to go to the website, download it to your phone, and whenever we have our programs, you can watch us live or join us in our Zoom room. Thank you so much. Back to you, Dr. Ben.
Thank you, Dr. Phil. What a pleasure. And I think the topic we have tonight is appropriate for all that we would like to do and how we would like to see the kingdom of God push forward. Money matters. It really does. And at this point in time, I think a good starting point is to talk about budgeting and investing, financial planning and budgeting. I've got the first question here that I'm going to direct at Mr. Leroy Answer. Here's the question. What steps can individuals take to establish an effective budgeting strategy? And how does this lay the foundation for successful investing?
I would think that the first steps that you could take would be to start a written budget. Everything starts with a written budget. You have to know where your money's going. So a written budget tells you where your money's going. It gives it a job. It gives it a purpose. So you know where it's going instead of wondering where it went. So when you write down all of your expenses, now you know what's going out, i.e. your bills, and what's coming in, your income. And once you figure that out, then it sets the foundation for everything else. And I always say that you have two things in budgeting that are the most important thing. In your financial toolkit, budgeting is the most important thing you can do, a written budget. I do it every paycheck. The most powerful thing you can do is track your expenses. You have to know where your money's going. A written budget, like I said, tells your money where to go, but expense tracking tells you where your money actually went. Most people, they say, well, I don't know where my money went. It probably went to bills. Well, I can look at my calendar and tell you exactly where the last $100 I spent went to. So I know exactly where my money goes. And you need to know exactly where your money goes. Otherwise, it just slips right through your fingers and you're just constantly broke all the time and you don't know where it went to. That's just how it is. And I guess that would be normal. If you're watching this, you don't want to be normal anymore because normal's, Dave Ramsey said normal is broke and people don't want to be broke. And I loved what Pastor Brown said, and I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember it exactly. He said, we want short-term satisfaction and we get long-term frustration. And
Yes.
That is so true. I mean, that hit me pretty good when he said that. I was like, I like that. And it makes so much sense. And if you can't have your money under control in the short term, in the long term, you're just setting yourself up for failure. You want to invest, you want to retire. I know people that talk about when they retire, and I'm like, you don't even have a 401k. You're over 50 years old. How are you going to retire? What do you plan on doing? So the budgeting allows you to look at the money that you have and properly, how do I want to put this? Just properly put it to where it needs to go. So that way it's not just gone and you're wondering where it went. And then, like they say, you've got too much too much month at the end of your money. So I, I guess the biggest thing I'd say is take a written budget, write down all your expenses, write down all your income, figure it out. And you're not going to get it right off the bat. I've been doing it for years and I still have to tweak mine and I still have issues with mine. And I have a YouTube channel where I document all of this. My channel's called 40 and Broke. And I try to document everything I do so that the average person can see that, hey, even people that have been doing this for years mess up. You know, I just had a terrible month in March and I expense tracked it all. And I was like, wow, I spent way too much money that I shouldn't have. And that's the importance of expense tracking. If you spend too much money, like somebody was just saying earlier, if you don't have the capital to invest, then you're not going to be able to invest. You need that capital, and budgeting and setting up knowing where your money's going by expense tracking will give you the capital you need to invest for your future. And I just try to keep it simple, and that's what it is. Write it down, write everything down. All you need is a notepad. Get a $1 notepad from Walmart and write everything down. I can't make it any simpler. It's really that simple. It's really that simple. So
thank you so much. Write everything down. My question is, I got paid, I got $1,000. What am I'm going to write everything down. I've got bills, but I want to eat out. You know, my feeling is I worked hard, and can I then say, I'm going to go to the restaurant, I'm going to spend $100 on a meal, I deserve it? What are your thoughts on that? What mindset should I have when I'm writing everything down in a budget?
Absolutely. You create your budget. There's a saying in the financial coaching world that what I think of as a financial coach, what I think about tithing doesn't matter. It's what you think about it, because it's your money. If you want to set aside $100 to go out to eat, that's your money. You worked for it. I say just set that money aside so that you're not swiping a credit card and just putting yourself in debt. If you have the money set aside already, you're not digging yourself a hole. You create your own budget. If there's a book called The Richest Man in Babylon, and they bring this exact subject up. He says, a guy says, well, I don't want to be restricted by a budget. And he said, well, who creates the budget? Well, I do. Okay, so your budget's going to be as restrictive or as loose as you want it to be. As long as you're not spending more than what you bring in, you will always get out ahead.
Beautiful. Thank you, sir. Thank you. That is beautiful. As long as you're not spending more than you bring in, you're going to come out ahead. Thank you. I'm going to get back to my budget, and I started it, and then I tried to do the budget in my head. It doesn't always work. I find myself missing money, and I thought I lost it, but I spent it. I spent it. Now, I want to indulge Mr. Guillermo. Question number 2. How can individuals assess their risk tolerance and choose investment strategies that align with their financial goals and values?
Thank you for the question. I think, to be able to understand what your risk tolerance is, you need to ask the question, what keeps people from participating in the growth of the U.S. economy by investing in stocks and compounding their savings at the highest possible rate? Because stocks traditionally yield more than bonds and more than cash. Stocks in the last 50 years have yielded 10% per year, whereas bonds have yielded 5% and cash only 2%. I mean, at the turn of the century, the 1900, John D. Rockefeller was the richest man in the world. And it's amazing that this guy, having all this money, access to all this money, did not live any better than you or me today. At the time he was living, there were no antibiotics, there were no vaccines, medical advances since then have been tremendous. You could get an X-ray, an MRI. Back then you couldn't, and there were people would die from simple diseases that today you can get cured without any problems. Supermarkets did not exist. Transportation, it's amazing how jet travel has made convenient travel from one end of the country to another, even internationally. At the time John D. Rockefeller was living, you could do any of these things. I mean, he lived and he died before Disney created Mickey Mouse. Who hasn't gone to Disney World and the parks and seen the advances in TV, from silent movies to color to feature films now in TV and everywhere. The internet, computers, smartphones. I mean, you name it. The world, humanity has advanced tremendously in all this time. And if you invest in stocks, you participate in this growth. I mean, you may work for a big company and you draw a salary, but if you say, well, the company is making all this money and it's progressing and I'm not, but if you invest your savings in the company stock and in stocks in general, then you get to participate. In other countries, you can't do it. If you live in Russia, if you live, in Asia, in Africa, you cannot have the option to participate in the growth of the country's economy. So I would answer the question: what keeps people from participating in the growth of the U.S. economy by investing in stocks and compounding their money at the highest possible rate of 10% instead of 5%? I think, first of all, it's probably lack of money. They probably don't have any money. They live in paycheck to paycheck, but you don't need a lot of money to invest. You could start small with $50 a month. That if you invest $50 a month in the stock market, that's only about $600 a year. Over 50 years, that's $30,000 invested. $30,000. If you're putting it under your mattress, that's $30,000. But if you compound it at 10% per year, it grows to be $866,000. That $30,000 becomes $866,000. So imagine, if you, instead of investing it in stocks, you invested in bonds at 5%. Instead of having 866,000, you would have $133,000. Not even half, not even a quarter. It's amazing the way compounding works. Is the return is exponential. So a lot of people think, well, I don't want to lose money. They have the fear of losing money, and they have the lack of knowledge of how to invest, and they don't understand the uncertainty of the short-term volatility, because they think stock prices move like this, up and down horizontally forever. And it's not true. If this were the case, then you need to know when to buy here and when to sell in order for you to make money. And that's very stressful, because you have to keep track of the market and know exactly what's going to happen next. And nobody knows what's going to happen next. But this is not true. This is the perception. The reality is that it's more like this. There is short-term volatility, but in the long term, it goes up, you know, and that's the reality over the last 150 years, you know, and it's going to continue to be. And so it doesn't matter if you buy here, you know, in the end, it's going to be higher. You know, if stock prices go down 20% like they did in 2022, only a year and a half ago, what are you going to do? Are you going to say, oh my God, I lost 20% of my money. I'm going to sell right now so that I don't lose it all. That's the reaction of a lot of people. And it's wrong, because that's the time that you have to buy more, or you stay the course if you don't have any money. But if you have $50 a month left over from your budgeting, then you can move ahead, because really all you need to invest is three things. The first one is time. You need time for your money to compound, because that's the way it grows from 30,000 to 866,000. You have to have the guts to see the short-term volatility without panicking, you know, and bailing and running to the exits. And you need to have a little bit of money. You need to have a little bit of money. If you don't have $50 a month, then you can't participate. You can't join the bandwagon and go through this ride. So yeah, so you know, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Beautiful. Thank you. So you're telling me that it's important for us to budget so that we know where our money is going, so we know what we're spending on and where, so that we can have a little extra that we can invest and get good long-term returns. So I have a question for Pastor Sam. What are some practical tips for building wealth over time? And how can individuals set and achieve long-term financial goals through strategic investment and savings?
Well, keynote, and once again, this is not financial advice. It's just what I'm doing, and I'm sharing my knowledge. First thing, you have to know why. Why am I investing? Why should I invest? What's the benefits of me investing? Now, for me, I live my life with the 5 Ps when it comes down to investing into my future. Is that I live the 5 Ps, which is proper preparation prevent poor performance. I'll repeat it again. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. There's 3 principles that I live by in my financial journey. Is that I educate myself, then I test it, then I execute it. Now, what I tell people every day is that everything boils down to a percentage. And we work hard and we want to play hard. And of course, you know, if when you work for your money and you spend it all at once or short term, then you're pretty much just not planning for your future. So what I always tell people is that it takes patience. It's like you planting a garden. It takes patience. You have to plant the seed, and you have to nurture the seed, and you have to watch the seed grow. It's not the amount of money that you put in at once. It's the amount of money that accumulates over time. So you don't need a lump sum to start. You need a coffee money to start. Whatever you can do without for that day, you can use that money to invest. Now, the question that always asked is, what do I invest in so I can compound that interest over time? Now, in a nutshell, I know we're going to say a lot more, but in a nutshell, I'm an investor that trades. I'm not a trader. There's a myth surrounding when I put my money in the stock market that I'm going to lose. So I always tell people, you always tell yourself, I am an investor, because whatever you invest in will invest in you. If you save your money will save you. But there are ways in which you save your money. As the person before me, what's his name?
Guillermo.
Brother Gamma, yes. He mentioned something that is so crucial. And I would embellish that thought by saying that everyone needs discipline. If it means something to you, you will make sure you get it done. Most times, truth be told, we do things that we cannot afford, but we do it anyway because we find it necessary. It's the same thing with investing. We can't afford it, but we do it anyway because we find it necessary. Everything requires patience. Everything requires patience. Discipline, patience, discipline.
Beautiful. I love that. Discipline. Poor preparation. Proper preparation prevent poor performance. I'll say it again. Proper preparation prevent poor performance. It's almost like a tongue twister. My goodness. I love that. I love that. And I'm going to take that with me. Apostle, can I have you on the same question? What are some practical tips for building wealth over time? And how can individuals set and achieve long-term financial goals through strategic investing and saving? What say you, sir?
Well, certainly, I like the word long-term. I know time is of the essence, but can I just bring a little history and speak in layman terms so people can understand what I'm really saying? I came into this country in 1987. I think the stock market had just crashed, and I didn't know what was the market. When people tell me about the market as a guy coming from the island, I think you're talking about punking and planting and banana and yam. Market. A guy from the island, grew up in the village, didn't know nothing about the stock market. And even when I started to work in this for the city in 95, I was 35 years old. In 2000, I started investing in my 401k because I didn't know what was a 401k. So the guy said, Rojas, you invest in the 401k? I said, what is the 401k? What is a 401k? And I started. So I did 15 years. And I left over $100,000 on the table because I didn't invest in that 5 years. Now I am screaming to the mountaintop to young people, telling them to grind and telling them to start investing now because of compound interest. It is amazing. I think it was Albert Einstein that says compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He that knows it earns it. He that doesn't pays it. Let me ask a question. When you're young, you have the strength to work, to save money, get a capital so you can invest. And I don't care if you do 2 jobs, 3 jobs, whatever, make the sacrifice when you're young, because when you get older, Father Time is going to get you. It has never been defeated. When you're young, work, get a capital, and invest. Do 3 things: invest, invest, and invest. You have to. Now, to tell you the power of compound interest, when you're young, you talk about risk tolerance. When you're young, you can invest aggressively. When you're older, you have to do it moderately. Why? Because if the market collapse, correct, or pull back, or there's a recession, you don't have time to recover. That's why when you are young, you can invest less and gain more. Let me tell you the power of compound interest. Let me ask a question here today. If you were to double a penny every day, you double a penny every day, you compound it, how long will it take you to get to $1 million? And what's something here? What's something powerful? You know, I'm doing a prayer breakfast on June 1st at my church. It's called Empowerment Breakfast, because too long we badmouth money. If you badmouth your girlfriend, she's not going to marry. You cannot badmouth the thing that you desire. People badmouth money. Money don't grow on a tree. Money is the root of all evil. Money is material. Money is carnal. Money is devil. And the Bible says different. Money answers all things. Now, if you double a penny, I want to show you something about the power of compound interest. If you double a penny, and there are stocks, by the way, oh my God, there's so much to share. There's two types of stocks: growth stocks and dividend paying stocks. And I tell people, why not invest in the things you use every day? I have McDonald's coffee and my kids like Happy Meal. I spend money at McDonald's. It's over $200 billion in market cap. And guess what? McDonald's is going to pay you $5 a year in dividend just for owning one share. So if you have 100 shares of McDonald's, they'll give you $500 a year. And when you compound that, you're on your way to a great retirement. So here what? To tell you how compound interest is amazing. And young people, I feel like I could go into all the schools and talk to young people. I feel like I get all the young people in the church and tell them about the power of investing. So on first day one, you double a penny. Day two, it's 2 pennies. Day three is 4 pennies. Stay with me. Day four is 8 pennies. 4 by 2 is 8. Day 5 is what? 16 pennies. Day 7 is 64 cents. Day 8 is $1.28. You say, but that's no kind of money. But you go to 16 days, and by 16 days is $327,000. By day 17 is $655,000, and by day 18 you have passed $1 million. You are $1.3 million in 18 days if you double a penny. So, for example, when I retired in 2015, I took some money and put it in a self-directed IRA. A young guy from college invested it for me. I didn't know how to invest. At that time, they bought a stock called Microsoft, which is the largest company in the world today in terms of market size, $3.1 trillion. They have surpassed Apple. Do you know what's the GDP of United Kingdom, which is about the 6th richest country in the world? 3.1 trillion. And if I go to talk about trillion, it will confuse all of us with the zeros. But that's what Microsoft does. And most of us here today, we're probably using Microsoft right now, or Windows, or whatever, Words, or 365, whatever, or clouds. And so guess how much we paid for Microsoft in 2015? I'm talking in layman's terms. Because the stock market go up on average for 10% every year. And people say, it's gambling. I don't know what to do. Stock market, you trade away your money. What about if the market crash? And you hear these. Paul says, brethren, I would not have you to be ignorant. My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge, not for a lack of sincerity or good intention. And people are ending up broke at the age of 65, barely having a social security check and struggling. And I started late. I'm a late bloomer. You know, I started investing during the pandemic. You know, the Bible said all things work together for good. That which was meant for evil. In 2020, I sat there on my bed. My wife had COVID. Couldn't go outside, look at CNBC, and say, I'm going to try Robinhood. I put $10. I was scared. I said, maybe it's a scam. I put $10. And then I got hooked. I put $100, $1,000. And so I started investing. But my point is, when I retired in 2015, one of the stocks in that portfolio, I have about 4 portfolios, that portfolio was about $57, $56 a share for Microsoft. Today, Microsoft was trading for $420 a share. My money went up by 600%. And in 20, I bought Microsoft also for average cost of 157. It has doubled. It has doubled. So what I'm saying is, the first 8 days, the penny turned into $1.64. But by day 16, it was 300,000. And by day 18, it was over 1 million. So if you invest while you're young, I tell you, you this powerful. You know, if you go for insurance, if I go for insurance right now, the premium is going to be crazy high. You know why? Because I'm over 60. A guy for 21 years old, he will pay peanuts on a term insurance because he's young. And people are not investing. They say, I cannot afford to. You cannot afford not to. If you put away, I told all my kids, I have a meeting with them, all of them, they have to invest for the child's college. And if they put in $50 a week, reoccurring, compound, dividend, they'll have money for the child's college. but we don't know, and it seems like nobody is saying anything. The Ethiopian eunuch was the minister of finance. He said, Philip said, do you understand what you're reading? He said, how can I except someone guide me? Gosh, we ask people in the church to give. People cannot give what they don't have.
Mm.
We hear stuff like, you're going to be a millionaire. You have no goods and services. How is it going to happen? You know, we got to change that dynamics, and we got to teach people. The disciples, I got to stop. The disciples call on Jesus and say, Lord, teach us how to. Teaching is powerful. If I feed you a fish, I feed you for one day. If I teach you, I feed you for life, and I free myself up, and I can empower others. So I would say start investing while you're young, and we could talk about so many aspects of investing, real estate, business. It's amazing. Thank you. Oh, I'm getting excited.
Thank
I'm
you for
sorry.
that. That was awesome. Now I've got a question for you. You said a young person can invest and they would have the tolerance to endure the market when it ebbs and waves. My question for you is this. Okay, I did not invest when I was young, and I don't have enough right now. Is there any help for me? What can I do now to help me or probably help those who are coming after me?
Dr. Ben, during my financial Kingdom Finance, a lady called me up. She said, Brother Rowe, it has passed me. I'm too old to invest. I said, no, you can still.
Mm-hmm.
But the power of investing while you're young, Warren Buffett, I think is 92. And don't run after these get rich quick and all these things and these pyramid and these get rich quick and your money will this and that. The stock, and here the beauty about the stock market. Warren Buffett is going to pay the same price for a share in Coca-Cola as I do. If you and I, Dr. Ben, and I'm going to say, please don't misunderstand me, depends on the shade of your skin. They could appraise a house for a certain price, and when a different person come, they could appraise it for a different price. What I love about the stock market and the fundamentals of the even playing field, if you're a millionaire, you'll pay the same price for Apple share as I will. The same price if you're buying it or if you're selling it. Now, the thing about it, Dr. Ben, as you're saying, investing early. Listen, we had a dot-com bubble, the housing crash, the pandemic pullback, and guess what? The S&P is at an all-time high. Do the math. So you can't worry about when the market go up and go up. That's why Warren Buffett says that the patient make money on the impatient. People see that today my portfolio was up $1,500, and before the day was over, it was down $4,000. The market goes up and come down. You can't lose sleep over that. It's gonna, as a matter of fact, when it's done, that's the time to buy. Yeah. So I'm saying long term, you set it and forget it. And we can do other things like options to make money and so forth and so on. That's more advanced. But all right, let me say this one thing before I close. If you don't know how to invest, you say, Brother Rowe, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm confused. I don't know. There are many brokerage out there that you have to invest through, buy stock through a brokerage. There's something called the S&P. And even Guillermo taught me when I just started, I was like, let me buy a cheap stock, pump and dump, a SPAC. They go up today, go down tomorrow. And you know what's the best thing to do? Mm-hmm. If you don't know what to do, invest in the S&P, Standard & Poor. The 500 top stocks in America is called the SPY. And they have all the big names, all the big guns, Microsoft, Apple, all the 11 sectors are there. You're betting on the US economy. And guess what? They pay a dividend, it compounds, and it grows. And you'll be good. You'll average 10% annually. So what I'm saying is Warren Buffett, he invested long-term, one of the richest men on the planet, one of the smartest investor. He buy it, deal with a compound, he set it, and he's laughing all the way to the bank. So yeah, you could do it as a young person. The market could crash, go down, pull back, and you'll still be all right.
Nice.
Let me just add to that. Yeah, to your question. If you're young, you have more time to compound. But even at our age, when you retire, you're going to probably live 20 or 30 more years. And that's a long time for your money to continue to compound. And so the time has not passed you. You still have an opportunity to invest if you have the long-term mindset. And if you do, like Lucian says, you invest in the stock market index. That way you avoid individual stock risk and you can participate in the growth of the economy. The S&P 500, like Lucian says, participates in 11 sectors of the economy. It's like a cross-section of the entire economy. And so you're going to grow. You're going to grow with time. And you can have, temporary setbacks, but it's just temporary. In the long term, it's going to grow for you. And if you retire at 65 and you live to be 80, 90 years old, you have 20, 30 years to go in your investment horizon. So you can continue to grow and participate with the economy and not sit on the sidelines and just watch the progress go without participating.
Beautiful. Thank you. Mr. Yancer, quick question. How important do you think financial education is to the young as well as the old? And how would you go about doing that?
I think it's extremely important because young, old, rich, poor, white, black, it don't matter where you're from. Everybody spends money. Everybody wants more money. Everybody needs more money. So how would I go about teaching financial literacy? Well, I have a couple books I actually wrote on financial literacy. One's kind of like an autobiography of my story, and then another one's a financial course. But I just teach my kids. I try to show them by example. I talk about finances all the time, and kind of jumping back to what Apostle Lucian and Guillermo were saying with the investing. In layman's terms, putting it simple, if all of this is confusing you like crazy, go to your bank, go to your credit union. They all have financial advisors for you, and they will help you. It's normally, I assume, it's free of charge. And you just have to set up an appointment. You go in, these are my finances. They'll help you set stuff up for you. It's a service that most banks and credit unions offer for free. So, and a lot of banks and credit unions, they're trying to push towards helping people with their finances, and they're setting up financial advisors, they're setting up financial coaches. And a financial coach and a financial advisor are vastly different. I consider myself a financial coach. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't give anybody financial advice. My job is to talk you through what you're doing, help you in the day-to-day, down in the dirt. A financial advisor, they're giving you the 20,000 foot overview. It's, well, you bring in $1,000, a month, you should be able, no problem, to set aside X amount. And you're like, well, I can't how am I going to set this aside? And that's where I come into play. We get right down into the dirt, right down into the nitty gritty. And I'm like, okay, this is what you have. This is what you're doing. This is what is important to you. And that's the biggest thing. It's just finding the why, like Pastor Brown said. You've got to know your why. Your why is crucial. And it's keeping it simple. If you make it overcomplicated, you're going to burn out. And it's simple. When my investing strategy is extremely simple. I buy gas at Marathon, so I invest in Marathon. I drink way too much Mountain Dew and Pepsi products, so I invest in Pepsi, and just little things like that. If you use it and it's a big company, good chances it's being traded on the stock market. And that's what I invest in. I invest in things I use. Beautiful. And that's what I try to teach people. I just try to teach people, keep it simple. Keeping it simple is your best strategy that you can have.
True.
Beautiful. Thank you. So keeping it simple is the best strategy you can have. Pastor Sam, let me ask you this from a very practical standpoint. What, in your estimation, what position should I be in if I want to invest? I make $1,000 a month. I sure have a mortgage, but I don't have a savings account. And my checking account, if I'm not careful, it goes, it goes below. And you get return checks if there is such a thing still. And I don't have a savings, but I see the need to invest. How should, in your estimation, should I structure my life so that I can invest?
Well, everyone choose their heart. Everyone choose their heart. Okay. So it's interesting because I always believe that the person who have a savings account and don't have an investment account is setting up themselves for failure.
Mhm.
It might sound a little raw, but savers live in fear of being broke.
Mhm.
Investors gain confidence knowing that they have a tree that even if they cut the branch, it has the ability to grow back. It's like the callaloo. In Jamaica, we plant callaloo.
Mhm.
And as long as we water the callaloo and fertilize the callaloo and take care of the callaloo, every week we can go and cut
At the
callaloo and
leaves.
have dinner.
Mhm.
See, it's investment to me is like planting a tree. No one plants a tree and it bears fruit the same day. So if you believe you can afford it, maybe it's not for you. It should be something you can't afford, but you see the necessity in making the sacrifice, knowing that I am compounding my interest. Now, let me say this about setting up your portfolio, doctor, with the little you have. That $5 a day challenge that you put in place to say, okay, I can't buy the S&P 500 because it's too expensive. I can't buy the NASDAQ because it's too expensive. I can't buy the Dow because it's too expensive. Now, I have to educate myself to see what can I buy that will give me a return, and how do I rebalance that portfolio over and over. As I hear Apostle Roa said that his portfolio went up today, and then it went down more than what it went up during the same trading period. Now, with me, I'm a technical trader, but I'm a long-term investor. So 20% of my portfolio, I trade. 80% I invest. Now, when I make gains from my trading, I put it in my long term. Now, go back to your job. You only make $1,000 and your expenses are more than what? That means your economy is unbalanced. You have more demand than supply. So you're in an inflation mode, right? So how do I get myself out of inflation? Now, if I used to eat pig's tail, oxtail, turkey, steaks on Sundays, then I know it's going to cost me XY. Now, for me to be able to afford investing out of that money that I can't afford, then I have to put myself in a recession by now, instead of eating oxtail I am going to eat chicken wings that cost less. And if I used to eat 2 pounds, now I'm going to eat 1 pound, because I am making it possible, you understand, to invest in myself, making it possible for me so I can take from what I can't afford so it can help me to compound my interest. Now, what I do is to take 1%. 1% is a sacrifice. I teach my kids this, and I heard Pastor Rowan say the same thing. I teach my kids this. Every single person has to invest, and they has to budget. If your paycheck is $10 today, this week, and when you budget, you have nothing left, you're not budgeting right. That means if you used to buy a burger, now you're gonna come home and eat what's in the house for that week, because you will not go over your budget. Or else you're gonna find yourself in trouble, because I believe that investing in yourself is priority. Paying your tithe is great. Paying the mortgage is awesome. Paying the light bill, it's awesome. But paying yourself is more important. What do I do with the money that I use to pay myself? I invest that money so that that money can continue to invest in me. So, of course, you can't afford it, Dr. Ben. You're not supposed to be able to afford it, okay? But you make the sacrifice